More lockdowns are going in place as COVID-19 cases rage across the country. I'm Christina Coleman in Los Angeles. I've got the details coming up.
Plus, the SEK Humane Society is hoping for a Christmas miracle for their four-legged friends, and there's a way you can help. And we are taking a trip to Carl Junction, Missouri for their annual Christmas parade put on by the local Lions Club. Meteorologist Nick Kelly has your weather. Andy Ciateco's on sports. I'm Mike Mahoney, and this is your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Well, thanks so much for tuning in. While COVID-19 cases are on the rise across the country, congressional leaders think they are getting closer to approving another relief bill. That's because this latest legislation is written by a bipartisan group of senators. Fox News' Rich Edson has the latest from Capitol Hill.
Well, congressional leaders are negotiating a spending bill to keep the federal government running through much of next year. Aides say they're also discussing a one-week funding bill in case they fail to reach an agreement by Friday's deadline. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell have also agreed to combine this annual government spending bill with another coronavirus economic package. The foundation for these negotiations, a more than $900 billion framework a bipartisan group of House and Senate members released last week.
This is not a stimulus bill, it is a relief bill. And it's something for the next 3 to 4 months to help those in greatest need.
The Republicans accepted $900 billion level. So we work to that number. If there is more money available, certainly I would want to see more help to the families across America.
Negotiations are ongoing. The current bipartisan framework would spend $160 billion on state and local governments, $180 billion on unemployment benefits, nearly $300 billion on assistance for businesses, and more than $80 billion on education. In October, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin floated a $1.8 trillion bill. The Speaker rejected it then, and her office said it lacked broad enough provisions to adequately address the pandemic. Pelosi says an incoming Democratic president and approaching vaccine approvals have changed the political dynamic. In Washington, Rich Edson, Fox News.
Rudy Giuliani has tested positive for COVID-19. President Trump announced the news about his personal attorney via Twitter today. Trump said, quote, "Get better soon, Rudy. We will carry on." Giuliani has been crisscrossing the country in recent weeks, attempting to make a case on the president's behalf that there was fraud in the 2020 election. His communications director tested positive for COVID-19 on November 28th. Starting tonight, millions of Californians will be under a new stay-at-home order that will last all the way through Christmas. Fox News' Christina Coleman is in Los Angeles with more.
I came in to give last paychecks and bags of groceries to my employees.
Business owners in California feeling frustrated as the state's new coronavirus shutdowns risk putting some of them out of business. The lockdown starting Sunday night and lasting for at least 3 weeks.
This is time limited. It's based upon the facts. It's based upon what's happening on the ground. It's based upon epidemiology.
Governor Gavin Newsom ordering all bars, hair salons, barbershops, casinos, and indoor and outdoor playgrounds to shut down. In regions of the state where available ICU beds falls below 15%. As of 11:59 Sunday night, that will include the San Joaquin Valley and all of Southern California. The new order instructs Californians to stay home as much as possible and stop mixing between households.
It's overcrowded indoor restaurants and bars. It is multi-household indoor gatherings where we let our guard down. These are the things we need to protect against.
Nationwide, states are facing a nightmare scenario as COVID cases and deaths reach record levels.
We are at a very critical time right now about being able to maintain the resilience of our healthcare system.
But medical officials insist relief is in sight, with hopes the FDA on Thursday will approve Pfizer's vaccine, which the company says appears 95% effective. There is also growing optimism on Capitol Hill. Congress may pass a $900 billion stimulus bill within weeks. The president has said he will support another stimulus bill, but he's waiting to see what lawmakers agree to first. Reporting in Los Angeles, Christina Coleman, Fox News.
All right, time for weather. Here is Nick Kelly.
We've had a pretty quiet day to wrap up the weekend, Mike, not to mention a chilly day, but temperatures back above normal. 27 for a cold start this morning, a high of 51, above our average high of 49. We had some morning clouds. that was about it. Maybe a little cloud cover trying to clip us to our north and east later on tonight, but in general, we don't have any big storm systems to worry about as we head through the night, and especially as we kick off New York Week and School Week tomorrow. But it is cold, no doubt about it. Most of us in the middle to upper 30s already at the 9 o'clock hour, and I see us dropping back into the upper 20s again. This time around, we'll drop to about 28, but with dry air, a light breeze, and mostly sunny skies for tomorrow, we'll be eager to bounce back into the mid-50s. We'll break down the rest of the week coming up here in just a bit, Mike.
Thanks so much, Nick Kelly. The Southeast Kansas Humane Society is turning to the community for help as they look to reach a $10,000 fundraising goal. The fundraiser had an original goal of $5,000 with a match by the Ronald O. Thomas Foundation, which they have already reached. Now, with 4 days left in the fundraiser, the foundation has decided to up their match to $10,000. The Humane Society is asking for the community's help, saying that $20,000 would be a Christmas miracle for their animals.
COVID's really hit every nonprofit really hard this year, and I can't tell you how much of a blessing that would be for all the animals here, for the staff. When the pandemic hit, we were out 5 hours a day just looking for a bag of dog food or bleach or cleaner. To know that we have that security that our animals are going to be fed for a year is so special.
The SEK Humane Society has links to donate on their website, and you can find more information on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Dozens of people in the Carl Junction community and surrounding areas gathered on Main Street today for the town's annual Christmas parade. The Carl Junction Band, as well as police and fire and local businesses, all walked in the parade. The parade was officially held by the Carl Junction Lions Club. They say it was nice to have a sense of normalcy during this holiday season. There was also a really cool parade in Joplin today, but this one was for a very special birthday boy. Josh Morris just turned 9, but his mother, who works at Mercy Hospital, is currently deployed in Kuwait. Fortunately for Josh, his mom's coworkers stepped up to give this 9-year-old one heck of a birthday parade. Plenty of Mercy employees drove by in some cool cars while stopping to give Josh some birthday presents. The Joplin Police and Fire Department also showed up to make sure that Josh had a birthday he'll never forget. It's now time for us to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Tonight, we recognize Gerard Pendergraft of Joplin, Missouri. Pendergraft served as a corporal in the U.S. Army, and he was stationed in Germany. Thank you, sir, for your service and your courage. For more information on all our four-state heroes, or to nominate your own, just log on to KOAMnewsnow.com. And don't go anywhere, we'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather. Plus, the city of Beirut got hit by a hailstorm today, and meteorologists in Lebanon say it's the first one since 1968. Details are coming up.
It sure was nice to end the weekend on yet another quiet note, despite a couple of weak systems giving us at least a little cloud cover earlier today, but can't deny how great the time-lapse look from Indigo Sky, including that great sunset at the tail end there, just outside of Seneca, Missouri. As far as temperatures go, we're holding near normal. This time around, we should be seeing highs in the upper 40s, just a few above that today, with the official reading from Joplin Regional sitting at 51. We'll stay chilly but trend just a tad warmer tomorrow, but still not bad. Pushing into the mid-50s as we get the new work week and school week started. As far as where we sit right now, though, before we see 50s return for tomorrow, we're turning cold fast. 38 degrees in Joplin with a light north breeze at about 3 miles per hour. Thankfully, not strong enough to give us a wind chill, but still cold no matter where you are across the Joplin area. From 36 in Pittsburgh to some upper 30s, especially some 39s from Galena down to Baxter and working all the way down to Seneca in Newton County, Missouri. Everyone's pretty much in the middle to upper 30s right now, and with mostly clear skies and the light breeze that we've seen throughout the day still in place at about 5 to 10 miles per hour, this is setting us up to go back into the upper 20s for another cold night ahead of us. But again, looking forward to seeing highs back in the 50s for tomorrow. Quick look at the Skywatch storm tracker because we just don't have a lot going on here, especially at the surface. If we plot a few features on here for you, a weak cold front working across the Tennessee Valley into the deep south, but off to the west, the upper, make that the surface level high pressure, still giving us a northwest breeze going into tonight. That's still going to keep us quiet, but it's what's upstairs I'm watching. Not just a cutoff low across Nevada, but our next storm system wanting to get its act together already out across the Gulf of Alaska. Before those features get here, though, we're just going to keep things quiet as we see that upper ridge out west begin to work in, which you see what it does with temperatures in the 7-day. In the short term, though, It's going to be cold. It's going to be quiet, but nothing to worry about for tonight as overnight lows eventually drop back into the upper 20s. I see most of us dropping back to about 28 degrees. Again, eventually a west breeze for the afternoon and the morning as well at 5 to 10 miles per hour. But again, it's a light breeze, a dry air mass, and mostly sunny skies. That means we'll quickly jump to 48 by lunchtime. Let's go 54 for afternoon highs in Joplin. In fact, most of us should be fair game to go back into the mid-50s for a chilly but fairly pleasant December Monday across the area. Now let's focus on the jet stream setup with the rest of the future track as we segue right into the 7-day after that. It's all about that upper ridge, setting up shop for the middle of the week. So after we see 50s again on Tuesday, we're back in the lower and even mid-60s for Wednesday and Thursday. And we better enjoy those 2 mild days because look what wants to work in from the west. Those couple of upper-level lows will merge together off to our northwest, but it will start to bring in rain chances on Friday. And if we still play our cards right, maybe a chance for some rain and snow showers late Saturday night going into Sunday. Still fits with Doug's patterns, so we'll keep a close eye on that. Before that system gets here, though, let's go 54 tomorrow and Tuesday, both days with mostly sunny skies, then a few days in the mid-60s. So not looking back for the middle of the week, Mike.
Hey, I got some good dog walking weather coming up. My dog Peanut always likes to hear that. All right, thanks so much, Nick Kelly. And Nick, we have got some international weather news. Check out this out-of-character hailstorm that hit the city of Beirut, Lebanon today. Streets in the Lebanese capital turned white as the icy mixture fell to the ground. Some areas also experienced a bit of flooding during the winter storm. According to the country's meteorologists, Beirut last saw hail in 1968. The hail also complicated things on the roads and caused some traffic delays. And when we return, we are taking a closer look at the president's move to pull troops from Afghanistan. There's no shortage of opinions on the subject here in the U.S., but what do people over in Afghanistan think? You're going to find out in just 2 short minutes. Welcome back to your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. The U.S. plans to withdraw thousands more troops from Afghanistan in mid-January, just days before President-elect Biden takes office. While the effort is part of President Trump's push to bring American troops back home, the news is receiving mixed reactions on the ground in Afghanistan. Fox News' Benjamin Hall reports.
The U.S. military drawdown is seen in 2 very different ways across Afghanistan. On the one hand, you have people inside the cities like Kabul, where we are now, who believe that the U.S. drawdown will only lead to the Taliban taking over large parts of this country and the freedoms that they have been given here over the last 20 years will disappear. On the other hand, if you leave the cities and you speak to people in the rural areas, they believe that only the Taliban can bring the peace and security, law and order that they are so desperate for, and that in the face of rising Taliban attacks, that is the best option. We were out today and we heard both sides of that story. Take a look. The Taliban are not only knocking on the door of Kabul, they are already inside Kabul. Districts like this are taken over by the Taliban at night. When night falls, they come in, they put up roadblocks, they arrest and kill people who work for the government. The people who work and live here know that that is exactly what's going to happen when the US leave.
But for many people, that is not a terrible concept. They are war weary, and many tell us they would welcome the Taliban taking over if it brought them security. At the end of the day, all they want is peace and stability, and they don't mind who gives it to them.
For better or worse, the US drawdown is happening. It's all hands on deck right now to reduce the numbers from 5,000 to 2,500 by mid-January. President Trump had hoped to get all US troops home by Christmas. That is not going to happen. But remember, there were 13,000 American troops in Afghanistan just at the beginning of this year. This is a decision that has been criticized by many. But peace talks between the Afghan government and the Taliban to agree on a power-sharing deal are still underway in Doha, and Secretary Pompeo has recently met with Taliban representatives to try and encourage a political path forward. There are also reports that they may be able to announce an initial ceasefire later this week. The big question is whether or not the Taliban will renounce al-Qaeda and cut ties with them. They have not had to do that yet. And many people fear that until they do that, this country could still be used as a springboard to carry out attacks against the West. Indeed, some groups like the UN say that al-Qaeda leadership is being harboured in Taliban-controlled areas. And it is for that reason that allies, coalition and NATO alike believe that this drawdown is happening too soon and too fast. In Kabul, Afghanistan, Benjamin Hall, Fox News.
Still to come, you will learn how a city in New Jersey is finding a silver lining to a bad situation. They'll be taking a toxic dump site and turning it into a safe place to remember coronavirus pandemic victims. That story and more are next. An ironic but perhaps fitting location for a coronavirus memorial is going up in the Garden State. The state of New Jersey is using two tragedies, COVID-19 deaths and a toxic dump site, as motivation for a triumph. Fox News' Dana Arshan explains.
This will become, a year from today, a very, very large park, one of the largest parks in Jersey City, 10 plus acres.
A bright future for a site that's been a dumping ground for decades. The Skyway Park here in Jersey City, a Superfund site about to become a memorial site.
And it's a good way, just to keep the love going.
I think it would be nice to do that, to open it up to people.
Instead of just having to ride past to see the land is nothing being used with it. So that's a beautiful thing.
As part of a $10 million grant from state, city, and county funds, more than 500 trees will be planted here, one for every Jersey City resident who died from COVID in the past few months. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency cleaned up the site, previously known for its thick smoke and underground fires. Bill Sheehan, who leads the nonprofit Hackensack Riverkeeper, calls this a huge win for Jersey City residents.
They have very little access to nature. This will give them an opportunity to not only go and pay their respects, but to go out and be with nature right by the river. And the river's getting better all the time.
The park is inaccessible to the public now. The gates behind me are closed. Those leading this initiative expect the park and the memorial to be fully completed by next fall.
With a year marked by record job losses and a pandemic, you might think that that would hurt people's holiday spirits. But as Fox News' Steve Nielsen found out in Arizona, more people seem to be putting up decorations this year to lift those Christmas spirits.
Susan Stone needed to get one last item.
From this to that.
To make sure her Christmas lights compete with the rest of the block.
The little kids on our neighborhood, we decorate. Finally, and some other neighbors, and then we got the guy that has to be the, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, yes.
It's well past that time of year where lights shimmer across neighborhoods to welcome Santa and his sleigh. With a touch of creativity,
Go Devils!
Yeah. Everyone can get into the holiday cheer this year.
I'm not decorating as much on the inside, but on the outside.
But this is our best Christmas ever. No doubt about it.
Paige DePaulos' store, Three Vintage Chicks, has been able to keep up with the high demand.
I think people are having a difficult time. A lot of people are stuck at home. A lot of people have feelings of maybe kind of sad. But Christmas is Christmas. And I think more people are decorating their homes because they are home. And I think people are looking for an escape.
According to the National Retail Federation, stores stocked up in record numbers in the lead up to winter to fend off any hoarding like we saw in March and April.
They're pretty stocked. Everywhere is. Especially this place.
We saw stocked shelves across the valley Sunday. Good news for those that want to bring good cheer during a strange Christmas.
We'll be right back with more news. Welcome back to your News at 9. Kia is recalling 295,000 of its cars for possible engine fire risks. The Korean car maker says the recall includes 2012 to 2013 Sorrentos, 2012 to 2015 Fortes and Forte Coupes, 2011 to 2013 Optima Hybrids, 2014 to 2015 Souls, and 2012 Sportage vehicles. The automaker says fires in the engine compartment can happen while driving. Kia dealers will make engine inspections, tests, repairs, and issue replacements as necessary. The company and their affiliate Hyundai Motors recently agreed to pay a record $210 million civil penalty after failing to recall 1.6 million vehicles for engine issues in a timely fashion. Well, don't go anywhere. We've got a lot more news headed your way, as well as another weather update with meteorologist Nick Kelly and your KOAM Sports Report with Andy Ciateco. That is all headed your way right here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And when we return, you're going to learn about a major fire that is forcing evacuations on an Australian island. That story and more are next. A wildfire has forced evacuations in Australia. People living on Fraser Island were told to leave their homes immediately after flames in the area increased today. Emergency services said firefighters would not be able to protect every property, so people should not expect firefighters outside their doors. Dozens of fire personnel, equipment, and aircraft are battling the flames under difficult conditions.
We're doing everything we can to contain it, but it is tough conditions. It's tough terrain. and it is a fire which is tricky to put out. We've been using significant resources today. Today, I'm advised that there are more than 90 personnel in 38 vehicles and 17 aircraft working on Fraser Island, and that includes the large air tanker, which is based in Queensland for the bushfire season. I am also advised as well that the New South Wales-based large aircraft tanker will be sent to Queensland tomorrow to assist in our firefighting efforts.
The fire was started by an illegal campfire 7 weeks ago. Seattle's new sports arena is showing signs of a greener tomorrow. Climate Pledge Arena now shines brightly on top of the future home of the WNBA's Seattle Storm and the NHL's new team, the Kraken. The name of the arena serves as a testament to all the ways the new venue will go green. Amazon bought the rights to name the stadium back in June. The Climate Pledge Arena will be the first net zero carbon certified arena in the world. It will utilize rainwater to make the ice for hockey games, and the events will be completely powered by renewable electricity. We'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather.
We managed to keep things nice and dry and a bit on the chilly side, sure, as we wrapped up the weekend today. Still, though, you can't deny how great the time-lapse from Indigo Sky outside of Seneca, Missouri looked. Granted, we did have a couple weak systems pass close by to give us at least a little bit of morning cloud cover, but we kept things mostly sunny for the afternoon and making for a great sunset at the end of that time-lapse. But ever since the sun has set, no surprise we got cold fast. 38 degrees in Joplin with a north breeze at 3. Thankfully, it's not giving us a wind chill, so with this breeze light, it actually feels like what it says on the thermometer as we get closer to the top of the 10 o'clock hour. But elsewhere around the Joplin region, everyone's cold. Mainly middle to upper 30s, as cold as 35 in Commerce to as warm. I emphasize warm if you want to call it that, as 39 in Fairland, but 37 in Oronogo, Carthage, Diamond, Granby, and over in Webb City to the northeast of Joplin. Everybody, though, is cold even outside of the Joplin metro. Mid to upper 30s right now. And as we continue with mostly clear skies, a dry air mass in place, and as long as that breeze stays light as well, as we're seeing it shift a little bit more out of the northwest at about 5 to 10 miles per hour, that is going to set us up for another cold morning ahead of us. We'll be dropping back into the upper 20s, but even though we stay chilly for Monday, look at how fast temperatures want to jump into the mid-50s for afternoon highs tomorrow. We'll do that with plenty of sunshine again for tomorrow, and that breeze staying pretty light since we don't have any big storm systems on the way, at least at the surface. On the Skywatch storm tracker, we can plot a few of those features for you. Again, a weak cold front passed just to our southeast yesterday, working into the deep south and the Tennessee Valley ahead of it. Plenty of moisture resulting in rain, and I think even some thunderstorms across the Florida peninsula. For us, though, that system's not a bother for us. We just have high pressure keeping that northwest breeze light and in place for tonight. Upstairs is what I'm going to keep an eye on, not only for this upper ridge to sneak in over the next few days and at least bring a few mild days our way, but a couple upper lows. One cut off from the jet over in Nevada, and the other one starting to get its act together on the Gulf of Alaska. Both of those will come into play a little later on in the forecast, but in the short term, keeping things nice and quiet for the rest of the night. Can't escape the fact, though, it's going to be cold. Everyone will drop back into the upper 20s to near 30 degrees. So I think most of us, including Joplin, will drop off to about 28. So needless to say, another cold start in the morning. But as long as we keep the skies mostly sunny and that light breeze out of the west at 5 to 10 miles per hour, we're going to warm up pretty quickly. Even though it's a chilly day, we'll jump into the upper 40s by noon, 54 degrees for afternoon highs. In Joplin, everyone, though, is fair game to go into the mid-50s. So even though it's chilly, not looking bad for your Monday afternoon. Now let's focus on that upper ridge that wants to work in over the next few days. It'll start to do so by Tuesday, but certainly for Wednesday and Thursday. Once we get underneath that ridge, we'll see highs near 60 on Wednesday and pushing into the mid-60s as we head toward Thursday. We better enjoy those 2 days of mild temperatures because look at these two upper lows wanting to get together and head our way as we head toward the coming weekend. It could start as rain chances on Friday, maybe a bit of a break in between on Saturday, but sticking with Doug's pattern, I want to keep an eye on any potential wraparound moisture to give us maybe a few rain and even snow showers late Saturday into Saturday night and into Sunday morning. Before we deal with that storm system, though, mid-50s for tomorrow and Tuesday under mostly sunny skies, 60 on Wednesday, and a nice mild 64 before we see rain chances on Friday, Mike.
Sounds good, Nick Kelly. Thanks so much. And hey, Nick, I've got a little medical news. If you have diabetes, gastric bypass surgery could help you achieve remission. New research from Oregon shows 57% of adults who underwent the surgery saw improved blood sugar levels in the long term. Gastric bypass surgery reduces the size of the stomach, causes hormonal changes, and can lower the amount of nutrients that are absorbed from food. All right, stick around, sports fans. We'll be right back with your KOAM News at 9 Sports Report with Andy Ciateco.
Welcome back and welcome into the Toyota Sunday Night Sports Feed. Entering the night, the Kansas City remains a game behind the unbeaten Steelers in the AFC standings. The Chiefs are back in primetime tonight, hosting division rival Denver. Kansas City is 10-1 on the year, looking to pick up a 7th straight win. Kansas City trailed by 1 at the break, but right now Kansas City on top 19-16 at the end of the third quarter. Let's get to some college hoops now. The Missouri Tigers are on the road this afternoon facing Wichita State. Tigers looking for a 3-0 start to the year. First half, Drew Smith passes low to Jeremiah Tillman, slams it home. Mizzou by 9. A couple possessions later, Mitchell Smith finishes the fast break with a two-handed slam. Tigers still ahead by 8. Shockers fighting back though. Aldrich Gilbert pulls up, buries the 3. Wichita State within 3. Missouri up 4 at the break though. Second half, Tigers up double digits off the screen. Drew Smith drills the 3. Smith finished with 14. Later, Mark Smith drives straight up the middle, lays it in. Mark Smith led the way with 19. Mizzou wins 72-62.
We don't really look at whoever's turn it is. I just think we play so well together. We're an unselfish team. So, we just play basketball and guys know their roles. And I feel like that we do them perfectly, to get wins. And we've been doing that so far as a team.
I've always been a man that don't take wins for granted. I'll take 3-0 as opposed to 0-3 any day of the week.
The Missouri Southern Lions swept Rogers State on Saturday. The Lion men snapped a 2-game skid, beating the Hillcats 88-82. As for the Southern women, they are on a roll. The Lions defeated Rogers State 96-85 for a 3rd straight win. 4 scored in double figures, led by Carly Turnbull with 23 points. Amaya Johns chipped in with 21 of her own. Southern really shared the ball well, with 24 assists on 31 made baskets.
I think it was just trusting each other, just giving the extra pass and knowing that we all can help get the dub at the end of the day. And we all pretty much scored all around. We started to get more of a flow in our offense, sharing the ball more, knocking out some threes. A couple steals kind of changed the momentum as well. So after that, we kind of turned the corner and decided to put our foot on the pedal.
Staying in the MIAA, the Pitt State Gorillas got the sweep on Northeastern State on Saturday. The men won 81-71, led by Ike Moore and Antonio Gibbons with 16 points each. The women snapped a 2-game skid, edging out the Riverhawks by 2, 84-82. And with an and one by Maya Williams, that sent the Gorillas over the top late in the game. This was a must-win for the Gorillas to get some momentum going.
We needed to win because we were 1-3. I mean, obviously, and you want to win all of them, but when you're 1-3, you are very hungry to get a win.
Yeah, most definitely. I think this really gets us jump started to get us to come back to practice and to take on our next game.
That's a look at sports. Back with more news after this.
Welcome back. Some COVID-19 victims are dealing with something they didn't expect to get from the virus, cyberbullying. And now a New York father is trying to put an end to it. Fox News' Aisha Hasni takes a look.
This message is out there for the cyberbullies and the parents that support these kids that, you should be ashamed of yourselves.
New York dad Stratus Morfogen is on a mission to stop what he calls COVID cyberbullying. His 14-year-old daughter B tested positive last week, and suddenly students and parents began scolding her for putting others at risk.
It made me feel like really, really bad because I just didn't want to feel like I was being accused of something that I had no control over, because I knew that I didn't intend for anything to happen.
The only reason people found out is because the Morphogans complied with the state's contact tracers, something Stratus says parents are not doing out of fear.
They're afraid of backlash. They're afraid of their kids being with the scarlet letter of C on their chest. And to me, that's unbelievable because we're all in this together.
In New York, 1 in 5 people don't cooperate with the contact tracers, but in New Jersey,
we're sick and tired of hearing this, folks.
Governor Phil Murphy banned indoor sports after calling out ice hockey parents for being a big part of the state's non-compliance problem.
We are seeing a failure to cooperate in more than 60% of cases. Again, it's anecdotal, but a lot of that is with hockey.
Morfogen says he was told by tracers it's parents of teenagers that don't often cooperate. He says COVID shaming has to stop so families feel comfortable speaking up and saving lives.
We're not enemies of each other. The only enemy we have is the virus.
And the good news is Bee is feeling a lot better. Her family says it doesn't appear that anyone else around her got sick with COVID, and she's hoping that other kids that might be going through similar cyberbullying will reach out to her for support. In New York, Aisha Hasni, Fox News.
They say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and for folks traveling there from California, the governor wants them to stay there as well. The Golden State is halting all non-essential travel under a new stay-at-home order, but what will that actually look like, and can it be enforced? Fox News' Joe Vigil has that story.
Well, here along the Nevada-California border, the question for Californians coming in is this: what is essential and non-essential travel?
I want to say congratulations, by the way.
Appreciate
Got a new wife.
Lamar Putney just traveled to Nevada to say I do. He got married, but he may be saying I don't when it comes to following new travel restrictions in California to not travel if it's not essential.
So would you come here, though, knowing there's a non-essential travel in California?
Well, of course, on TV I would say no, I wouldn't. I would follow the rules. But in real life, I probably would do as I please.
I think that's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. We're so we're so depressed, being home all the time.
These two from California came to Nevada to check on a vacation home in Las Vegas.
I think we are being controlled. What's going on now, I know that it's a pandemic. We are following the precaution and everything. We are not around with people. It's just the three of us. So why will not be able to go to her house?
So what is non-essential travel? According to the California Department of Public Health, it's travel that is considered tourism or recreational in nature. Essential travel includes work and study, critical infrastructure support, economic services and supply chains, health, immediate medical care, and safety and security. But will Californians follow stay-at-home measures?
Do you have any other reason to come
No,
back?
I don't have a reason to come back, but if I had to, I would.
And Californians also ask this question: how do you enforce non-essential travel?
Well, we're not done yet here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. The holiday season is here, and that means it's time for one of my favorite news stories, the Santa Run. And we're going to check out one in Germany and learn how the pandemic is affecting things when we return. Welcome back to your News at 9. Let's take a look at what's coming out of Hollywood these days. The Fox Entertainment All-Stars sat down with the one and only George Clooney to find out what it's like sitting in the director's chair. Check it out.
I'm Fox Entertainment All-Star Jake Hamilton. Academy Award winner George Clooney steps in front of and behind the camera to direct the new drama, The Midnight Sky, and I had the chance to chat with the Hollywood icon from his Hollywood home. Mr. Clooney, good to see you again, sir. How are you?
Good, but don't call me Mr. Clooney because you make me feel really old.
George, my good friend George, my good pal George, how are you, sir?
No, don't call me George either.
No, scale back.
Way too much.
We'll split the difference. A lot has changed in George Clooney's life these past few years, but one thing that hasn't, he's still as charming as ever. That, and he's still that old school Hollywood type of movie star.
Come in, Ether. This is Barbo Observatory. Are you receiving this?
You might not know it at first glance, but that is the former sexiest man alive. Not just starring in the new drama The Midnight Sky, but directing it as well.
That's Ether. It's a spaceship that we hoped would be our future.
This is Clooney's 7th film that he's directed, but I wanted to know which other movie from his career does he now wish he had stepped behind the camera for?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. you know, it would have been fun to direct Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, but the Coen brothers did such a good job, I could never do it. But that was a fun shoot, you know, and the Oceans films are fun. They're a lot harder for the director than they were for the actors. So, but it would have been fun to work with all my friends on those films.
For sure. You don't want to see the George Clooney version of Batman and Robin?
You know, honestly, I could take a crack at it. I'd have to get sandpaper and take down my nipples.
In The Midnight Sky, Clooney plays a man who must protect a young child as they cross the Arctic in order to send an important message to a group of astronauts in space. And now that he has his own 2 children to protect, I wanted to know if being a real-life father affected how he relates with children on screen.
The truth of the matter is, it doesn't make any difference, obviously. You know, I was on ER shooting there in Chicago oftentimes, and I played a pediatrician, so I worked with a lot of kids already. And what you do learn is with children, it changes sort of your mobility. You're not going to go, okay, I'm going to go take this job in Phoenix for the next 3 months, or you know, it's a conversation between you and your wife who's teaching at Columbia, and you know where the kids can be and all that stuff. So, you know, the conversations are more about your ability and mobility, but not about your actual acting in a thing. It doesn't make that much of a difference.
The Midnight Sky starts streaming on Netflix on December 23rd. For the Fox Entertainment All-Stars, I'm Jake Hamilton.
How about we wrap the show with a few holiday-themed stories? Folks are kicking off the Christmas season in Israel. The city of Tel Aviv lit a 50-foot Christmas tree with a bright star in the central square of the city's Jaffa neighborhood today. That area is home to a large population of Christian Arabs. People walking past the lit-up tree stopped to take pictures with someone dressed as Old Saint Nick. Because of coronavirus concerns, the large tree lighting ceremony was scaled back to prevent virus spread. The city hopes the annual tree lighting will help bring a little joy to all of Israel. The landmark Rialto Bridge in Venice got dressed up with some interesting video projections this weekend. The video showed historical figures of the city. It's all part of the city's Christmas lights celebration. Residents and tourists alike can enjoy the festivities until December 31st. A symbolic toast on New Year's Eve will ring in 2021 as Venice celebrates 1,600 years since its founding. I bet my mom would love to be at that. All right. Finally, check out these running Santas braving the cold to bring a little holiday cheer to folks in Germany. A few dozen of people dressed up like Santa Claus and took over the town of Mickendorf for the annual Santa run today. Due to COVID-19, runners were asked to run separately, but to post pictures of themselves with a jolly old elf. I hope they're staying 6 feet apart. Organizers there are usually between 1,000 and 1,200 people take part in the race. All right, well, thanks so much for wrapping up your weekend with us. We'll see you next week right here for more KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And of course, stay safe out there.